What's the big deal with Falcon? Honestly, I haven't tried it and I don't know how different it is from other advanced synthesizers, or even a modular environment like Bitwig. Well, I got a license for it specifically to test it, so I'm going to play with it for 1 month and then I'm going to tell you everything about it. Okay, this synth has everything. It has a lot of amazing features, but also it has some cons. So I'm going to tell you if it's worth it for you or not. I know there are a lot of reviews, so I'm going to concentrate on my favorite stuff for the pros, and later in the video I'm going to talk about the cons. So first of all, Falcon is an all-in-one kind of synth. I know there are other synths or even DAWs that have this all-in-one idea with multiple routings, effects, parallel processing and more. But Falcon is not only a synth, it's a whole ecosystem. You can program different layers, create many routings, even save presets and layers of presets. Each one with its own mixer track for further editing and manipulation. Not only that, Falcon also lets you load up other UVI instruments, as for instance the synth anthology. So it takes the all-in-one concept even beyond. Now let's talk about the features that I really liked. For instance, it has many unique oscillators. You have the classic subtractive, FM with the algorithms similar to the DX7, a wavetable with many options, even an organ and a noise generator. The additive engine is pretty unique, but is similar in some aspects as the one on Pigments. So it's not like unique. So the ones that got my attention because they are so fun are the drum engine, because I just love drum synthesis. It's simple enough to be used by anyone and versatile enough to make many drum sounds, from kicks and snares to even cymbals. Then there's the plug, a multi-engine which mixes a sampler with a synth and noise to create, well, plugs. But it's not any plug, as you can judge by the sound. And as you can judge by the sound, it's a plug based on strings. I like it because it has special parameters to change the peak, the contour, and you can even add different harmonics. The harmonic resonator has a special engine that in one part has an exciter and a resonator, which will create the tone. The exciter can be set up with 3 engines, transient, textured and noise, and the resonator lets you create up to 6 different tones. It also has some weird coupling modes. The VOSIM, or VOSIM, is a formant-specific oscillator. On other synthesizers you will find formant filters, but here you can actually build up formant sounds with the oscillator itself. Finally, the bowed strings, which is an oscillator that lets you create, well, bowed strings like cellos, violins, and so on. It has a ton of controls for each detail, to change articulations and more. Not only that, you can tweak the string tension, the bowing position, the harmonic content, which string you're playing, and more. Only downside is the amount of CPU it uses. I don't know if just me, but even if only using this oscillator on an empty project, my CPU went crazy. But I will talk about that later on the cons section. Learning a new synthesizer, especially if it's as complex as Falcon, is a bit hard. So if you appreciate my efforts, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. As with oscillators, Falcon offers many unique effects. Many of them are staples on any synthesizer, from different types of modulation to delays, reverbs, filters, and multiple colors of distortion. But my favorite, and again the more unique ones, are the spark reverb, which is pretty simple at first glance, but you can edit parameters as the modulation, decay, and diffusion. It can create a complex variety of algorithmic reverbs. Dual Delay X is 3D based, with different options to set the reflections, the timings of each side, also the volume of each repetition, everything visualized on these 2D and 3D visualizers. What I love not only about Falcon, but all of these modern synthesizers, is the amount of filters and filter emulations they offer. In this case, the two I like the most are the VCF 20 dual filter, which is amazing to create bandpass filters with variable width. And the phasor filter. Then they included one of their newer compressors, which is called Opal, and as you can see by the name, it's an optical compressor emulation, with parameters to fine-tune your sound. It even has different models, tube coloration, and stereo link modes. Now, what really got me playing for hours were the sequencers. I'm a sequencer nerd, I have to make a video only about sequencers, and having all of these options got me really busy. Falcon offers these script processors that I'm not sure how they work, but thanks to that, these sequencers are very different from one another and are pretty unique. We have Euclidean harmonizers, random, grid-based, probability-based, rain, thing, different time signatures for every note you're playing, and more. My favorites are the ones based on the 12 notes. For instance, the wave sequencer, where you can set different parameters for each of the 12 notes. So if you play D minor, D, F, and A will have a rhythm that you can modify individually for each one of the three. There are many sequencers with the same idea as the rain sequencer or the Euclidean keys. And by the way, I also love the Euclidean tonal. And others that I liked are more playful, like the node ARP, the Cartesian sequencer, and snowflakes. Now, despite all of the fun, there are some things I didn't quite like. So now is the turn of the cons. For starters, the learning curve. It's true it takes a lot of time to learn everything about this software, and many things are not intuitive. Setting up routings, multi-effects, parallel processing, and more can be tricky. For instance, me after 1 month feels like I just know the basics. Now, you could say this is normal because it's a really advanced synthesizer, and that's true in some extent. But we cannot deny the fact that there are other all-in-one synthesizers, or even DAWs like Ableton and Bitwig, that have a much friendlier learning curve. Other con is that in some screens, it can look really small. There are many plugins that take care of that by making resizable UIs, or even a zoom option like in Cherry Audio. But here, well, I'm currently on the maximum space, and my screen is big enough. Besides that, another problem is the CPU usage. Some patches, no matter how complex they are, won't use many CPU. But as you saw, only using the bow strings used all the CPU available on my session. Other example of this is Opal, which uses more than half of the CPU of this current patch. Now I know that some things, depending on how they're programmed, will need more or less CPU, but the difference in usage for Opal and especially both strings is too much. Other developers find ways to optimize that, but I'm not an expert, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. If you want an all-in-one synth environment, I will say Falcon is a great choice. But keep in mind the things that I told you, so of course try to test it to see if your CPU can handle the different processes, and also check if the workflow is for you. You can get excellent sounds with it and you probably won't need other synth, but still you have a lot of options, so take your time and decide. Thank you so much for watching, I will see you next time, and bye bye.